Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the CBT podcast. I'm here with Ethan. I'm here with Rod, and today we're bringing you our final video from the positional ranking series, which is centers. We're going to give our top 10 centers. Rod, do you want to get straight into it by giving us who you have at number 10?
Yeah, I don't feel very confident about this. I'm deciding as we speak right now, but I think I'm going to put Clint Capela as my number 10. I think he's been the most consistent rebounder in the league now for the past 2 or 3 years. I like what he does on offense, being a good roller, good screen center, finishing around the rim. And I think he's an above average rim protector, so he's at my number 10.
I just don't think Clint Capela has enough scoring prowess to be in my top 10. I don't think he even averaged 12 points per game last year. But at my number 10, I have a guy who was an all-star last year, but hasn't been good long enough for me to really put him any higher than 10, and that's Jarrett Allen.
All right, at my number 10, I went a different route. I chose someone that didn't, average the most flashiest amount of points, but his defensive presence is definitely there. And he's someone that JJ and I know very well, Robert Williams III.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little high, but
At number 9 for me, I had a guy who definitely scores a lot more than Capella, gets a lot more offensive rebounds. It's Jonas Valanciunas. Not a good defender by any meaning of the word. I think he's average at best, but I think he's been getting noticeably better the last 2 or 3 years. And I think at this point, he's just the ninth best center in the league to me.
Okay, at my number 9, I have a guy who does have a lot of scoring prowess. I think he actually gets a little overhated because of his playoff shortcomings in the past, as well as his injury history, and that's Kristaps Porzingis, who at his peak is still one of the best shot blockers in the NBA while dropping 20 a game.
I took last year All-Star Jarrett Allen. I think he's better than Robert Williams, but scoring-wise can't compare to the other players.
Yeah, I think Porzingis was definitely my 11th. About 30 seconds ago, I had him at number 10, so I don't really mind that. It's just the injury history for me and the weakness he shows sometimes.
Which I get that. That makes sense.
What are we on, number 8 now? For number 8 for me, I got a guy we recently talked about on a video. I got Deandre Ayton at number 8.
Ooh. Okay, Ayton at 8. I feel like that's a little low. At 8, I have a guy who you already mentioned, a former Grizzly, so a guy I've watched play a lot. He had a great playoffs. I mean, on the offensive glass was just unbelievable throughout that whole series, and that's Jonas Valanciunas.
All right, we're on the same page, JJ. At my number 8, I also got Jonas Valanciunas.
Okay.
I just had to put him there. I've always loved his offensive ability.
Yeah, I think his playmaking is even a little underrated. It's not quite talked about enough. He is an above average passer for a big man.
And this is where I'm a little confused now because both of you have Jonas above the guy I have at number 7 right here, and that's Jarrett Allen. Just because he was only an all-star last season, I don't feel like y'all are giving enough credit to his previous seasons in Brooklyn where he was under the radar, was and still is one of the best shot blockers in the league, one of the most efficient players in the league. He's not as versatile as Jonas, I'll give you that, but I just think defensively they're on different worlds, and he's a very underrated. Jarrett Allen is as a scorer.
Yeah, I'm not going to doubt that, but you say he's underrated. He's only had one season in his career where he scored 15 points or more, and I like to look at more of a whole body of work, and I just feel like Valanciunas brings more to the table than Allen does, even though he's lacking defensively. But at my number 7, I have a guy who just got paid, whether his team wanted to pay him or not, and that's Deandre Ayton.
All right, Rod, I definitely agree with you in some ways, but also my thing with Jarrett Allen is that his ability to score, I think, just doesn't compare to the other centers that are higher above him, except for one other player. But for me, for my number 7, I have Nikola Vucevic.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I debated whether or not to have Jarrett Allen over Vucevic because of how bad a year he had last season, but his last 2 seasons in Orlando were staggering. He was a fantasy beast, and I think he could still have a bounce back year or two in him. So this is where I had Vucevic at number 6.
Yeah, I had Vucevic at number 6 as well. Obviously a fantasy legend, especially for me. I'm sure he gave both of you guys some nightmares a couple seasons ago. But what really fell off last year was his 3-point shooting. I think he shot below 32%. And that might just be a mental thing for him, something he can get over that hump because he's proven in the past that he's a more than capable 3-point shooter. So I do expect Vucevic to get back on track this season with the Bulls.
For me at number 6, I have someone that literally just got paid. I have Deandre Ayton. in that position.
That's fair. That's fair. At number 5, I have the best run, jump, and dunk and block shot center in the league. This is where I had Rudy Gobert. You know, if you want to talk about defensive impact, I think obviously he's a little higher, but I value versatility, and that's what he lacks in his game in general.
Okay, yeah. If you value versatility, I can understand putting Gobert above a guy like Bam Adebayo, who I have at number 5. But I just think Gobert's defensive upside is head and shoulders above Bam Adebayo. I'm not taking anything away from Bam. He is a great defensive player, both inside and on the perimeter. But Rudy Gobert has won 3 Defensive Player of the Year throughout his career. I think he is still the best defender in the NBA by a considerable margin.
I definitely agree. I also have Bam Adebayo at that number 5 spot. You know, Rudy Gobert's defense just trumps a lot of what these other players can do, especially Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, I had Bam at 4. I understand the criticisms, but the way I see it, Bam is already miles ahead of Rudy as a scorer and defensively, like I said, versatile. And I just think he can do a lot more. If I would rather have a guy for a series, I'd rather take Bam than Rudy.
Yeah, I feel like both those guys have been, I don't know, I don't want to say exposed in the playoffs, but haven't performed like they're expected to in the playoffs in the past. So you're not sure what you're going to get for either of them, especially late season. But at number 4, I did have Rudy Gobert, best defensive player in the league, as we just said.
Yeah, literally same. I have him at number 4.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there's also a clear gap here since we all had the same 4 and 5. I think we all should have the number 3, and that's Cat for me, the best shooting big man of all time. It's not that he lacks defensive capability. As we all know, I think we would all label him a little soft. So it's just about effort and intensity for him at times, but he's still lagging far behind my 1 and 2.
Yeah, on the topic of guys who failed to perform in the playoffs, I do have Karl-Anthony Towns at number 3. And this is a guy who I don't think we will be putting on our top 10 centers next year because he will likely be playing a lot of power forward next year with the Timberwolves, as they obviously just traded for Rudy Gobert. And let's be real, Rudy Gobert could never play power forward at any point in his career. But yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns at number 3.
At my number 3, I have someone that is a great center. He's Dominican. I know him very well in terms of watching basketball. Karl-Anthony Towns, you just can't deny how great of a center he is. I personally enjoy watching him play.
Oh yeah.
I think he's one of those centers that you can't really be mad at watching. Like, I can get mad at Joel Embiid every single time I watch him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But not Karl-Anthony Towns. I mean, whenever he scores, it's just like this cat man. When it's Joel Embiid, when it's Joel Embiid, there's a few
choice words I have in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Speaking of Joel Embiid, I feel like this is more of an argument amongst casual fans, but I think when you really dive into the numbers and playoff performances, I have Joel at number 2. We all know who I have at number 1 that means, but quickly on Embiid, I think injury history here has to play a part. If you can only play 60 games a year, I have to value a guy who's more durable. And I don't know. I feel like the gap that people say is there defensively between Embiid and the guy I have at number 1 is not really that big. I think Embiid's kind of an overrated defender, but 30 points per game, undeniable, great player. He gave me nightmares in the playoffs, so I have him at 2.
Now, you say the gap defensively between Embiid and Jokic isn't that big. I'm going to have to agree with you. I think Jokic is head and shoulders above Embiid, so I have Embiid at number 2, and that may be a little bit of Celtics fan coming in because I'm not a fan of Joel Embiid, obviously, but I just feel like Jokic has more to offer, especially playmaking-wise, than Embiid does, at least at this point in his career.
All right, so you both have a different opinion than I do. I actually have Nikola Jokic at number 2.
Oh,
I would not have expected that.
I would never have
my
guessed this.
my only reasoning for it is because yes, Nikola Jokic is a phenomenal center, but he's only started shining like he does now when Jamal Murray got injured. Whereas Joel Embiid has basically been doing it since he was in the league. So I'm just taking that dominant consistency in a way over Jokic's 3 seasons.
That's an interesting take. I haven't really heard that yet, but I guess that's fair. I am interested to see how Jokic plays next year. Probably taking a lot less shots than we've seen him take the past 2 years. But the way I see it is if Embiid has a night where he's too focused on the jump shot and it's not going well, or he's not giving you 30 points, I feel like there's a real gap there than what people expect from Embiid and the Embiid you can see 30, 40% of the time. And I just feel like Jokic has that mode he can go into where he doesn't even have to score to break a team apart. Embiid is an underrated playmaker, but that's mainly just because he has the ball in his hand so much. Jokic, I mean, we just saw what he did with his second and third best players out. He made guys like Will Barton. I mean, Will Barton was their second best player, and he made him look like an all-star at times, as hard as that was. So I just think Jokic elevates the team a lot more than Embiid does.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. I just think Jokic can dominate a game, especially offensively, in more ways than Embiid can, because, like I said, that playmaking, it's very possible that Jokic will go down as the best passing big man in NBA history.
He already is, in my
And
opinion.
yeah, so I just don't think Embiid will ever have that at any point in his career. And I'm just a little surprised that someone didn't have the back-to-back MVP as the best player in his own position group, but I'll let you defend that further right now, Ethan, because I do have Jokic at number one.
No, I definitely understand your guys' argument, and I'm not taking away any type like how good Jokic is. I'm just saying from my point of view, as good as he is, I have to still see it once Jamal Murray comes back in, because we've only seen these back-to-back seasons of MVP Jokic whenever Jamal Murray is not there. I understand he's a great like playmaker, but like Rod said, he made Will Barton look like an all-star. Yeah, like who else is gonna dribble the ball? Because Michael Porter Jr. has been injured
That's fair.
basically since he got in. So
Monte Morris and Bones Highland are very capable ball handlers.
Well,
come on.
out of necessity, not really.
Monte Morris
So-
is. Bones Highland, maybe.
So I mean, Jokic has developed into an amazing player, and it's gonna be great to see how that fits in with Jamal Murray. But I think once Jamal Murray comes back, he's gonna be the main facilitator. He's not gonna be turned into like a just a spot up 3-point shooter. Like he's gonna be the
Of
main
course
focus
not.
of the offense. So that's my only thing. Whereas Joel Embiid has been dominant since he basically got into the league. The only thing that stopped him is really his injury prone. That's all.
Yeah.
For my
I mean, I don't think Murray's return is going to impact Jokic as much as you're thinking. He's still going to be the focal point of their offense, and it will likely continue to run through him. But I think that's going to do it for us in today's video. Could I ask that you please drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Who do you think had the best top 10 list? Who do you think is the best center in the NBA? Why will Wembanyama be on this list next year? I'm going to thank you once again for watching, and we will see you guys in the next episode.